We trust. Trust is an intrinsic part of human relationships, a fundamental element that binds us together. From the moment we are born, we learn to trust those around us, starting with our parents and extending to friends, teachers, and even strangers. It is in our nature. Trust is not just a social construct, it is a survival mechanism. It allows us to form communities, build relationships, and create a sense of belonging. Without trust, society would crumble into chaos and isolation. We place faith in individuals and institutions, expecting them to act with integrity and responsibility. We trust our government to make decisions in our best interest, our teachers to educate and guide us, and our police officers to protect and serve our communities. This trust is the bedrock of a functioning society. It is the invisible thread that holds the fabric of our communities together, enabling us to live, work, and thrive in harmony. Trust fosters cooperation, reduces conflict, and promotes social cohesion. But what happens when this trust is shattered? When the very foundation of our social structure is compromised, the consequences can be devastating. The sense of security and stability we once felt is replaced by fear, uncertainty, and disillusionment. What happens when the very people we are supposed to trust become the perpetrators of harm? When those in positions of power and authority abuse their roles, it leaves a trail of broken trust and shattered lives. The betrayal of trust by authority figures is a deeply unsettling phenomenon. It not only affects the immediate victims, but also erodes the collective trust of the community. The ripple effects can be felt far and wide, shaking the very core of our societal values. It shakes our understanding of right and wrong, leaving us vulnerable and questioning our own judgment. When trust is broken, it can lead to a crisis of confidence, making it difficult to trust again in the future. We expect police officers to protect and serve. They are the guardians of our safety, the ones we call upon in times of need. Their role is to uphold the law and ensure justice is served. We expect lawyers to uphold justice. They are the advocates for truth, the defenders of the innocent, and the ones who ensure that the legal system operates fairly and impartially. We expect educators to nurture young minds. They are entrusted with the responsibility of shaping the future, imparting knowledge and fostering a love for learning in the next generation. But sometimes these expectations are cruelly betrayed. When those we trust to protect, serve, and educate fail us, it leaves a lasting impact. The betrayal of trust can lead to a loss of faith in the very institutions that are meant to support us, creating a sense of disillusionment and despair. Rebuilding trust is a long and arduous process, but it is essential for the health and well-being of our society. Dean Dempster, a Manchester police officer, was a figure of authority, someone citizens looked to for protection. He was often seen patrolling the streets, engaging with the community, and maintaining order. To many, he was the embodiment of safety and security, a reassuring presence in their daily lives. Behind the uniform, however, lurked a predator. Dempster's outward appearance of dedication and service masked a much darker reality. When the badge came off, his true nature was revealed, and it was far from the protector he portrayed himself to be. Dempster abused his position to exploit vulnerable women, engaging in sexual misconduct and harassment. His victims, often already in distress, found themselves further victimized by the very person they turned to for help. The betrayal was profound, leaving lasting scars on those he targeted. His actions were a gross violation of the trust placed in him. The community, once confident in their police force, began to question the integrity of those sworn to protect them. The badge, a symbol of honor and duty, was tarnished by his reprehensible behavior.
His actions were a gross violation of the trust placed in him. The impact of his misconduct rippled through the community, shaking the foundation of trust that is essential for effective policing.
Dempster's case is not an isolated incident. Unfortunately, it is part of a larger, more troubling pattern. Across the globe, there have been numerous reports of law enforcement officers abusing their power, leading to a growing mistrust in the institutions meant to safeguard society. It reflects a disturbing pattern of abuse of power within institutions tasked with upholding the law. These incidents highlight the urgent need for systemic reforms and greater accountability within police forces. Without these changes, the cycle of abuse and mistrust will continue. When those sworn to protect become the abusers, it erodes public trust and creates a climate of fear and uncertainty. Communities are left feeling vulnerable and unsupported, unsure of where to turn for genuine help. The repercussions of such betrayals are far-reaching, affecting not just the immediate victims, but society as a whole. It is imperative that we address these issues head-on, ensuring that those in positions of power are held to the highest standards of conduct and integrity. John Smyth QC, a prominent lawyer, used his position of power and influence to subject young men to horrific physical and psychological abuse. For years he was seen as a pillar of the community, a man of integrity and honor. But behind closed doors he orchestrated a reign of terror that left deep scars on his victims. Hiding behind a veneer of respectability, Smyth exploited his status to silence his victims for years. He was a master manipulator, using his legal expertise to intimidate and control those who dared to speak out against him. His victims, often young and vulnerable, were left feeling isolated and powerless.
Hiding behind a veneer of respectability, Smyth exploited his status to silence his victims for years. He was a master manipulator, using his legal expertise to intimidate and control those who dared to speak out against him. His victims, often young and vulnerable, were left feeling isolated and powerless.
Smyth's case highlights how positions of privilege can be used as tools for manipulation and control. It serves as a chilling example of how those in power can abuse their authority to commit heinous acts without fear of retribution. The legal system, which should protect the innocent, was instead used as a weapon to perpetuate his crimes. His actions serve as a stark reminder that outward appearances can be deceiving. A well-dressed, articulate individual can hide a multitude of sins behind a charming facade. Smyth's case forces us to question how many other seemingly respectable figures might be hiding similar dark secrets, and that even those in esteemed positions can harbor dark secrets. The revelations about Smyth have prompted a broader discussion about the need for greater transparency and accountability in positions of power. It is a call to action to ensure that no one, regardless of their status, is above the law. The courage of Smyth's victims in coming forward has shed light on these abuses and serves as an inspiration for others to speak out against injustice. The consequences of such betrayals extend far beyond the immediate victims. When trusted figures abuse their power, it sends shockwaves through society, eroding public trust in institutions and leaving lasting scars on communities. These cases fuel cynicism and suspicion, making people wary of authority figures and less likely to report abuse. This climate of distrust can have a chilling effect on civic engagement and weaken the social fabric. We must move beyond blind trust in titles and positions. A badge, a gown, or a prestigious title does not automatically confer virtue or guarantee ethical behavior. We must judge individuals based on their actions, not their accolades. This requires a shift in mindset. We must be willing to question authority, to hold those in power accountable, and to challenge systems that protect abusers. Section 6, the price of blind faith, a collective responsibility. Blind faith in authority figures comes at a high price. It allows predators to operate with impunity, silencing victims and perpetuating cycles of abuse. We have a collective responsibility to challenge this culture of silence and create a society where accountability is paramount. This means being vigilant, asking questions, and speaking out against injustice. It means supporting victims of abuse and demanding transparency from institutions. Section 7. Empowering voices demanding accountability. Silence protects abusers. It's crucial that we create spaces where victims of abuse feel safe to come forward and share their stories.
Empowering victims to speak out is the first step towards holding perpetrators accountable. This requires a multifaceted approach. We need robust support systems for victims, independent investigations into allegations of abuse, and legal frameworks that hold perpetrators accountable for their actions.
Section 8. Rebuilding trust, a multifaceted challenge. Rebuilding trust in the wake of such betrayals is a complex and ongoing process. It demands a commitment to transparency, accountability, and a genuine desire to address systemic issues that enable abuse. Institutions must be willing to acknowledge their failings, implement safeguards to prevent future abuse, and prioritize the needs of victims. This includes conducting thorough background checks, providing mandatory training on ethics and power dynamics, and establishing clear reporting mechanisms for misconduct. Section 9. Safeguarding innocence, a shared imperative. Protecting the innocent from those who seek to exploit and harm them is a shared responsibility. We must all be vigilant, aware of the potential for abuse, and willing to speak out against it. By fostering a culture of accountability and respect, we can create a safer world for future generations.